Being biracial in a Nevada high school with its critical race theory requirement isn't enough anymore to let you get through without denouncing your own whiteness. I'm Dr. Duke, and this is The Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness of Patrick K. classrooms and college campuses around the world. Katie is off today. Before we start, I want to ask everyone to please download our new Freedom Project Media app. We're producing 17 new, soon to be 18 new shows a week, and we've got much more content on the way. Simply search Freedom Project Media in your app store and make sure you allow notifications so we can let you know a new show has arrived. Joined now by Vicki McKenna for our weekly Culture Cast program. Vicki, thanks for the time today.
My pleasure, Duke.
Well, we've got another interesting story here. I mean, the regime, I don't know why more parents aren't awakening to this in this woke culture of ours. But even if you have a black relative, even if you come from a black family, it doesn't matter. You're still going to have to play the game the left wants. This isn't about equality anymore. It's not about actually trying to level the playing field. It is some kind of a reprogramming regime in the public schools. We have a situation in Nevada where a white student, a biracial student, who apparently looks too light, and so he's in this mandatory critical race theory course. He can't graduate without passing it, and it was told that he has to reject his own whiteness. He refused to do it, and they failed him. Let's talk about that story.
All right. This young man whose mother is black, his father is white, his father is deceased, was told that if he did not accept and reject and confess to white dominance, he would fail. He refused to do it, so he failed. He refused to, acquiesce to the bizarre Soviet Orwellian world that his critical race theory class. So think about that. That there's actually a critical race theory class in Las Vegas. His mother, because he failed, and now it appears that F grade is going to make it so he cannot graduate. His mother filed suit. She doesn't want him to hate himself. She doesn't want him to lie. She doesn't want him to have to be forced to confess to things he cannot change. She doesn't want him to reject and resent his father. And so she's filed suit. You may have seen her on some of the various different cable TV shows.
He was asked to answer the questions, and then the teacher would then scrutinize and label whether or not his particular identities were under the category of oppressor or privileged or oppressed.
And that's being replicated across the United States, where you are expected to confess to your sins, I guess, of being born. And it is bizarre. It is sick. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the philosophical and ideological precursor to justification of genocide or other types of cultural or racial apartheid that the left wants to establish in this country. I mean, Duke, you sent me an article about Ivy League graduation ceremonies that are going to be segregating students during graduation by sexual identity, by race, by income. And this is all to pre-chew the American culture for something much, much worse than this, something that would probably, reflect more the institutions of Soviet Russia or some of the totalitarian regimes.
Yeah, a couple of things that are really puzzling. Not only do they have a critical race course like this in Nevada, it's required. You can't graduate unless you've passed this course. And of course, what the course is a bunch of litmus tests. I mean, if you have to take creeds and make statements and condemn aspects of yourself to pass this course, there's no way that this, I think, is going to be able to pass muster in a court. In fact, I saw the mom and her lawyer on Tucker Carlson, and the lawyer was 100% correct. They've already got a federal statement saying that they would likely do very well with this case in court. But the fact that the high school will not back down. I've got another problem with this, Vicki, I want your thought on. So why does Barack Obama not have to apologize for the half of him that's racially white and dominant? Why is Meghan Markle being treated by the American media and the international media as an exclusively black victim when half of her is white and dominant? Why are they able to pick and choose which biracial people are authentic and which are not?
It's easy to pick, right? Whoever looks white is going to not be considered a victim, even if you're biracial. If you're biracial but you don't look white, well, then you are a victim. And so that's how Barack Obama was exclusively a black president, not a biracial president. And that's how this young man is being called and is being attacked. He looks too white, and so despite the fact that his mother is black, he's a purveyor of white dominance and white supremacy. Think about this, Duke. Think about the multitudes, millions and millions of biracial families in this nation whose children are going to school to learn that the white half of the family, if it's biracial, white plus another race, that the white person in the family is out to get them or is some kind of evil creature, and teaching you to hate your parents, to hate yourself, to hate what you are, where you came from. That's what this is doing.
I don't remember what his name was. George Hernandez. Remember the shooting, the Trayvon Martin shooting? They invented the term
Zimmerman.
white. Oh, Zimmerman. That's right. They invited the term white Hispanic for Hispanics that didn't look dark enough to pass. After the break, I want to pick this up with you again. Thanks. Back now with Vicki McKenna, and we're continuing our conversation about a biracial student in Nevada who was told that unless he confessed his white privilege, he would not be allowed to graduate. And we were just talking about this. And then you got Kamala Harris, right, who really isn't black at all, but is treated as if she were 100% black. Great to see a black female finally in the vice president slot. So all these racial categories. On the one hand, race doesn't matter. We're told on the one hand, there's not a difference between the race on the most basic level. And on the other hand, we're engaging in radical resegregation. This one about, we talked about a moment ago, you mentioned it, about at Columbia University, now they're having different graduations. And one of them is low income. You get your own graduation if you come from a low income family. And that's the only one that theoretically white people would be allowed to attend.
Indeed, I guess. I mean, are white people just simply not allowed to attend graduations at Ivy League schools any longer? It seems there's no category for them. So are they going to be able to pick up their diplomas? Certainly the check is going to cash and clear at the institution. But think about this. This is segregation. This is what the civil rights movement successfully sought to end. This is Jim Crow 2.0. And the left, again, well, they were the authors of Jim Crow, I guess are comfortable with these ideas of separate but unequal. And nobody's pushing back against them. That's the strangest thing. A story out today, Coca-Cola is going to penalize any law firm that is not woke enough for Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has now got a whole list of different things that you have to check off on diversity and racial privilege training, whether or not you are accepting or asking people what their preferred pronouns are. And so not only is nobody pushing back against this en masse, but you actually have large corporations that you cannot actually vote out of office, making sure it's almost impossible to eradicate from the culture. So this is from schools, to Hollywood, to consumer culture, to the products you're going to purchase. And I just don't see a way to unbury ourselves from this without people finally just getting sick of it and saying stop.
Well, you and I have talked many times that all of this is contrived. All of this is a step down the road to socialism. The founders of Black Lives Matter, for instance, were trained by the Weather Underground and socialist paramilitary tactics. The fact is that race right now, they couldn't do it, Vicki. My contention is they thought they were going to be able to turn this country into a communist country, ultimate socialist country, through global warming. But enough people realized what a scam it was. The science was too ambiguous, and all the gloom and doom prophecies never came true. They found, I think, their niche, that the one soft spot in this country that would make countless numbers of conservatives and Republicans roll over and not want to in any way, shape, or form talk back is the question of race. And I think it's even worse than segregation. Perhaps to me, the most shocking aspect of this, we learned in the civil rights movement that we shouldn't see color, right? Martin Luther King wanted people not to see the color of skin, but the character, the content of character. Now we're being told, and little children are being told as young as 3 and 4 and 5 years old, that the color of their skin brands them, either a victim or a villain. And the guilt that's being heaped on kids, and the entitlement and the exclusion that minority kids, you don't have to study, you don't have to worry about all those bad grades now. Your skin is a different color, you're a victim, we're going to find a way to make you successful, and you won't owe anything to anybody.
Yeah, character doesn't matter. Color is the only thing that matters. So content of character, we just threw that out and then pretend that Martin Luther King Jr. wouldn't be appalled at what's going on. And I think you're right. Climate change was, you look at about 15 years ago, started looking like it was going to be the left's political theory of everything. And it fell apart because nobody cared. And so now you have identity as the political left's theory of everything, with racial identity at the top of the of the pyramid. And so they did realize there was a soft spot in the West, as we have tried to move down the continuum of freedom and tried to embrace more cultures and tried to assimilate, if we could, as many cultures as possible into the Western ideals of freedom and morality. And so, if you fought, in most people's lifetimes, a battle like the civil rights battle, you are going to be extremely sensitive, particularly to the issue of race. So one of the worst things you can call somebody is a racist, especially if they're not a racist. And that's what in a zeal to try to let everybody know that you have either done penance for your sins of history, or you march with Martin Luther King, or you were raised in an environment that believed in Martin Luther King's words. You'll run to the first camera or the first person and say, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist. And so you instantly have people in a position where they're so desperate not to be likened to something so evil that they're really, really, they're easy to dominate with those accusations. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we don't see a lot of pushback.
Well, and also in the news today, to wind this up, there's a $60,000 high school prep school. I believe it's in California. You mentioned the pyramid, right? With race at the top and everything else at the bottom. Their teachers are being mandated, the white teachers in the school are being mandated to teach a pyramid that has, of course, racial issues at the very top. You know what's at the very bottom of that? With the following statement, it's at the bottom of the pyramid. The worst thing you can do. It says, quote, there are two sides to every story. That's now racist. I'll send you the link for that if you want to use it on your show. Two sides to every story is the worst possible thing you can say in the face of these new fascists.
And George Orwell is rolling over in his grave.
Vicki, thanks for your time on CultureCast. We'll see you next week. Joined now by Tina Griffin, the counterculture mom. Tina, thanks for your time today.
Hey, what's going on? Decided to just hang out in Hollywood for a little bit so we can help you give an in-depth look at, for the Grammys.
You're outside the red carpet there. You're all the people got to walk past you. You're going to give us an overview of the debacle that was the latest Grammy Awards. Apparently, the 53% drop-off. 53% drop off from last year.
Yay!
18 million down to about 8 million. As far as I can see going back, one of the, if not the lowest ever. And this is typical, right? And of course, they blame it on COVID. It's
right.
COVID. See, everybody's stuck at home in front of their TV. So COVID's responsible why no one watched the TV show.
It's absolutely ridiculous, Dr. Duke. And here's the deal. The Grammys just aired this last Sunday night. My phone started blowing up shortly before saying, oh my gosh, Cardi B. And there's a chick, Megan Thee Stallion, that parents are warning me about, which I was already aware that they were going to do the WAP video. And who knew what, at that time what it was going to look like, what kind of pole dancing. Are they going to have any clothes on at all? I decided to show the celebrities out in Hollywood. Yes, you can still find a dress where you're fully clothed. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Now, that aired last Sunday night on CBS, but a lot of people were like, wait a second, is this the Grammys or are we watching hardcore lesbian porn? Here's what's crazy. Beyonce was, without a doubt, the biggest winner of the night, and I just want to read off some lyrics from her song, Dance for You. While I'm grinding on you, this is beyond sex. I'm high on you. If it's real, then you know how I feel. Rocking on you, babe. Rocking on you, babe. Now, first and foremost, my daughters who are 10 and 8 could come up with better lyrics. The second issue I have is, where is the next stanza that talks about sexually transmitted infections, kids getting pregnant at 13, and celebrities going to bail out children behind bars in prison for committing crimes that they're endorsing?
You know, it is interesting when you think about how we've elevated, particularly black female. I mean, almost all the major Grammy winners are women, and many of them, if not most of them, are black. It's amazing when you give this exalted platform to minority women across the country, and all they can sing about is their genitalia. I mean, is this really empowering? Is this really ennobling to have these two women, Cardi B and I don't even know how you pronounce the other woman's name, engaging in some kind of weird crotch grinding dance? You can see the picture of it there. This really is what we now are holding up as exalted high culture. This is what happens when we have equality in the country. This is what we expect from our black entertainers now.
It is really pathetic. And I just want to call out celebrities right now. There are some great celebrities in Hollywood that I personally worked with when I was there for a decade. Keep at it. The pressure is great now more than ever to do the right thing and to say no to the wrong movie roles. I remember how high the pressure was back then. But this crown is going out to all the parents that are doing the right thing today, that are protecting their kids. And what you just said is exactly what's happening. In fact, Dr. Seuss, Dumbo, and all the other children classic stories that are out there and movies from the past is deemed inappropriate, can't watch it. And yet Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens just discussed a couple hours ago that basically they agreed, it seems that the entertainment industry is intentionally trying to degrade our culture, hurt our children, and destroy America.
I 100% agree with you in the assessment that this feels more sinister. This is starting to me to seem like it's not even left or right. It's not a political issue. This seems like an attack on American values, American traditions, and you're actually actively trying to make children aspire to things that are grotesque. This is not about diversity anymore, Tucker. It's about perversity. No. We are celebrating perversity in America.
There were 45 communist goals to take down America and strip away our republic, take away our freedoms, and replace it with communism. These 45 goals were written in 1963. The top ones are the following. Goal 18, gain control of all student newspapers. Done. Goal 20, infiltrate the press. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy-making positions. Done. Goal 21, gain control of key positions in radio, TV, motion pictures. Done. Goal 24, eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. Done. Goal 25, break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography, obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, TV. Dr. Duke, you and I just saw this. Done. And goal 26, present homosexuality and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. This is China and our corrupt political figures in America trying to destroy American values for our children. We are seeing it. Tucker, you are correct. Candace, you are correct. It is a communist goal in our country for a major takeover. So that's what we're looking at. And we have to basically be very diligent as parents to say we don't want to feed our kids trash. And there's tons of great options that are out there. That's why we have a lot of content we're pumping out with our team and with Freedom Project Media. It's a no-brainer, and parents just need guidance, and we have the tips and tools to help them.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and I think you're exactly right. It's not a coincidence that the aims of the Communist Party and the aims of radical left-wing progressives in this country overlap again and again and again.
Here is the crazy thing that we have to look at. The National Center for Sexual Exploitation blasted CBS for normalizing porn culture for the sake of ratings. And we can see they did the exact opposite with what you just shared in the beginning of the episode with the lowest ratings ever in history. In fact, National Center for Sexual Exploitation said to the Christian Post, quote, prostitution and stripping are never empowering for women as they set up systems that exploit and oppress women. They say the performance highlights long-standing issues of systematic racial and sexual injustice that still pervade our society and which are grossly profited on these corporations. I couldn't agree more. Now here's the two solutions quick. One solution, we have a really neat DVD by Pastor Joe Schimmel, Rock and Roll Sources of the New Age. You have to grab it. It's a 3-hour DVD talking about what these celebrities on this video with interviews admitting what they're doing is wrong. Get that DVD, download it, or have us send it to you in the mail. The other option is to get, and both actually, do both. Download our Counterculture Mom app and get the premium section. It's fantastic. It's loaded with content, tons of notifications to come right in the palm of your hand. So you decide what your kids are watching, not the Hollywood hogwash behind us.
Time now for some real education with instant classics. Boy, you know, when you consider where we are at the first part of 2021, and we see the radical changes that are being made to this country, we are no longer a constitutional republic. That has been a dead thing for a while. And it's my contention that democracy itself ended with this last sketchy election. The outside forces, the dark money, the fact that tech corporations felt that they could actually silence and deplatform and cancel people who were trying to actually investigate the possibility of election fraud. We're in a very odd place. And I got a little bit sentimental for the founding of the country. And so today's Instant Classic takes us back to the great French observer of American mores, Alexis de Tocqueville. He was a French aristocrat, diplomat, political scientist, political philosopher. He was a historian, but he is best known for his work, Democracy in America. De Tocqueville was a classical liberal, actually, who advocated parliamentary government and was skeptical of the extremes of democracy. Good for him. But the more he came to learn and understand America, which actually was a constitutional republic, not a democracy, he had much to admire. And let's go back, even if it's only a memory now, let's go back and see what de Tocqueville, in one instance, had to say about this great country. He said, "Democracy and socialism have nothing in common but one word, equality." But notice the difference. While democracy seeks equality and liberty, socialism seeks equality in restraint and servitude. That's what's happened to your country. We went from being a republic and became a corrupt democracy. That democracy then was easy. It was an easy glide to socialism. Don't ever forget that Karl Marx himself said that democracy, he said, is the necessary precursor of socialism. If you go back to the quote, democracy and socialism have nothing in common but one word, equality. The constitutional republic that we had sought equality in liberty, opportunity, equality under the law. That's gone now. We don't even seek the new socialist system that we are implementing. It doesn't even seek equality. It's changed the name from equality, which means people more or less being the same, to equity, which means altering reality so you have outcome-based equality, right? Equity is not equality under the law necessarily. In fact, it's actually prejudicial. If there are too many rich people, equity means that you have to find any means necessary, legal or counter-legal or beyond legality, to equitize them. Liberty was the way that America became great. Liberty and equality were the same thing, equality of opportunity. Now, you have another situation, and the socialists are on the right side of this here in America now. It's not about equality, it's not about equity. And to obtain what we call equity in the world today, we're going to restrain, we're going to punish, we're going to tax, we're going to take, we're going to use all sorts of powers of government to de-individualize this country, to find ways to change it into that ever imagined and fantasized and prayed for and hoped for socialist utopia. You know, the one that never ever existed, never can exist, won't exist, that one. All right, just a quick reminder, please. Download our brand new Freedom Project Media app. You'll get access to 17 and soon 18 new shows a week. We've got some new segments that are really fantastic with some really competent, really intelligent conservative women. Plus, our entire library of content is yours. Simply search for Freedom Project in your app store and make sure to allow notifications so we can directly contact you and let you know, hey, there's something to watch in your app. And if you're a fan of the show, please consider a one-time tax-deductible donation to support this Patriot Club. And we'll send you our signature tumbler. Visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us. Help keep the show rolling. And now we want to take a moment to show some love to our Patriot Club members. Today, we'd like to give a shout-out to Alan from Neenah, Wisconsin. Alan, right down the road. Brother, thank you. Thank you very much for supporting us. Stop by the studio sometime. We would like to meet you. And that's going to do it for this show. Now make sure you go download the Freedom Project app. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. Until next time, education, my friends. Stay on it.